Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer action. So just a quick disclaimer guys, I got a new keyboard recently and it is pretty clicky, a little bit more clicky than what I was expecting, so hopefully it's not too loud. If it is, let me know, I'll try and figure out some kind of solution for recording, but for the time being, let's get to it. This is another battle from Shadow Online Gaming's recent tournament. I've got the Vampire Coast up against Gojira's Lizardmen, and right off the bat, I'm sorry GOJI, I'm sorry. This is just a bad thing to do to someone, so yeah, on this map you can see I'm going to take a high ground advantage here. There's lots of choke points and stuff, but let's go ahead and take a look at the build. We've got Luthor Harkon, a couple Fellbats here, a Necrofex, we've got some pistol deck droppers as well, deckhands, fleet captain, we've also got a gunnery wipe for some additional ammo, black spot, and some pistol mobs as well. You can see we're just going to kind of take a hill position here, try and defend as much as possible. For Gojira's Lizardmen, forced to kind of go through the hot gates here, he's got Saurus Warriors, he does have an Ancient Salamander here, Red-Crested Skinks, more Saurus, cohort of Sotek, Saurus Scarvet, nice mixed infantry force here. He's got a Blueberry Slan here, a Heaven's Slan, which is a pretty good choice. You can see right off the bat we're moving in to do some skirmishing here. Going to be using the pistol mobs and the breath attack and everything to go after the Ancient Salamander. So one of the things about the Ancient Salamander is that in the most recent patch, I mean, when the Lizardmen DLC was released, it was definitely pretty strong, but in the most recent patch, it literally it got a health nerf, and it is literally the lowest health monster in the game. Like, it has even less health than like a Feral Manticore or a Great Eagle. So because of that, you can take it out very, very easily, even with quote-unquote non-AP missile units like these pistol deck droppers here. Can still do a lot of damage just because of the very low total HP there. You saw that breath attack earlier from the Terrorgeist. Did a ton of damage to that Ancient Salamander, so yeah, pretty bad situation there. Obviously the fire damage is good against the Terrorgeist in this particular matchup, but Gojira's going to kind of take his way, making his way up and around here. Definitely probably should be advancing, but you can see like there's a choke point right here, there's a choke point right here, there's smoke, excuse me, more choke points right here, so yeah, it's going to be a pretty rough situation regardless, but getting rid of this Ancient Salamander right off the bat is going to be huge for me. There's not really going to be too much else to threaten Harkon. Of course, if this were a high Slan, then he would have Tempest. Although, Luthor Harkon, of course, does have very heavy magic resistance. 33% magic resistance with his item means that he is relatively resistant to that Tempest damage. So, yeah. I had shown off a similar build against the Lizardmen in a video recently, and in that video, in the post-game, I had meant to sort of highlight a few things about Luthor Harkon, about how I think he could potentially use some nerfs. Most people have been focused on Noctilus, for good reason. Noctilus has been obscenely overpowered for a long time, and so the focus hasn't been so much on Harkon. Harkon is incredibly powerful, though, don't get me wrong, in the right situation. Granted, he is very expensive, one of the most expensive lords in the game. But you can see here, we're going to pop that Hornswaggle so that this Slan Mage Priest down to only 15 armor and just open up with all these pistols from the air. That Power Siphon keeps him from using his abilities, and likewise, every time he gets hit from that, that ability there, this Disrupted is from Luthor Harkon, and it does give 50% miscast chance, which is just absolutely brutal to have against casters. Just as a baseline, means you're going to be getting a bunch of free damage from miscast, basically. A Shield of Chocolates there is going to mitigate some of that missile damage, but you can see Gojira trying to slowly advance up across the hill here, get into a position to start engaging some of these melee units. But yeah, the Ancient Salamander getting chased off by bats in the back. These Cold One Spear Riders trying to bail it out here, but not really being super successful at this point. But yeah, mostly this has just been a tale of me taunting and hornswaggling the Slan Mage Priest, shooting him. Of course, Slan Gold, meant to be used on Slan, of course. So we're going to go ahead and pop that there. Taking quite a bit of damage on Harkon, but again, nothing we can't tank out with the Terrorgeist innate regeneration abilities. Meanwhile, we're finally about to get a melee engagement underway as the Pop-Pops, whatever they are, these Regiment of Renown here, the cohort, the Cold One Spear Riders, they're going to get a good engagement on this Necrofex Colossus here. I mean, granted, they will take some damage from that armor-piercing flaming attack, but you can see just then the sheets of fire that come in overwatch from the black spot and the gunnery mobs here. So yeah, what initially was a very good engagement for the cohort, gonna quickly turn around there. Overwatch fire from the pistols on the high ground, just massacring those red crests. So a very brutal situation. Meanwhile, on the low ground, the Slaanesh Mage Priest trying to get up onto the high ground, still alive here, using the shield of the old ones. Taunt once again, though. Even using the aura of pretzels to try and mitigate that, but just the relentless pistol fire. You can see I've had to use up just about all of my ammo here, but we have been able to take out both the Slaanesh Mage, and I mean, granted, the Ancient Salamander came back, but it's pretty much done for at this point. You can see here Skinks and Saurus charging up on the high ground. I guess it's mostly just Saurus, but with the whatever. Regiment of Renowned Spear Riders gone. The Flaming Necrofex is free to fire into the back of these. Saurus here are going to be getting a very, very good engagement. And yeah, it's going to be rough stuff for the Lizardmen. This matchup is definitely probably, I would say, the toughest for the Lizardmen. Over here, these cohort of Sotek going to be beating the brakes off of some gunnery mobs there. But will it be enough? The Slann goes down to the pistols, and that means that finally we're going to start to disperse some of these pistols to go elsewhere. The Saurus Scarvet trying to take down the fleet captain, but that just means he's going to get singled out by Harkon in melee here. An Overcast, Dance, Kebab, or sorry, Invocation of Nehek, just to heal up everyone. And that Saurus Scarvet is pretty much down. The Cold One Spear Rider is a little bit late to come support there, but the rest of the Lizardman force just slowly making their way uphill again, sort of piecemeal, getting kited and just dragged down by guns and zombies here. So definitely a pretty rough situation. We'll keep it in cinematic mode as the Necrofex here, the Regiment of Renowned Necrofex, which I have to say, this is probably my favorite unit on the Vampire Coast roster. I know many people aren't the biggest fan of the Vampire Coast, and I kind of get that. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of their playstyle either, and certainly a build like this is super, super gross, and on a map like this, you know, I would say I wouldn't do this to my worst enemy. But, I mean, I kind of did it to my friend, right? Like, again, I'm really sorry, GOJI, that I did this to you. And you guys feel free to smash dislike as much as you want on this video, because I 100% deserve every single one, because this was absolutely just a terrible thing to do to someone. But, hey, I was having a bad day, and I wanted to win the tournament game. And, you know, we had pre-selected the matchups, so it's not like I counterpicked Vampire Coast specifically into Lizardmen. Like, we had both picked those factions separately in secret, and it just so happened to match up that I got the you know, the coast against the Lizardmen, which is very unfortunate for GOJI. Very rough matchup for the Lizardmen here, and just yeah, Flaming Necrofex gonna finish off these Legion of Chakwa here, and it's just the Unbreakable Skinks still fighting. So yeah, again, sorry GOJI. I would say it needed to be done, but it probably didn't need to go quite like that. But that is how the game unfolded, and yeah. So we'll talk a bit more about Luthor Harkon at this point. You can see he did get to his healing cap. So if you look down at this little ability bar down here for Harkon, you can see that there's just so much going on. The fact that he has two separate regeneration abilities means that he can be very hard to kill. The regeneration, of course, from the Terrorgeist, and the fact that he has the Hunger means that he regenerates HP while in melee as well. Of course, you've got your magic resistance, which makes him even harder to kill in that way. The Terrorgeist also has its own, buffs, being that it causes fear and terror, and has your breath attack, of course. The Power Siphon isn't that good in most situations, but against in certain situations definitely can be very strong, and against someone like the Greenskins, it's great. Hornswaggle, of course, very good, and then the Slongold we all know and love. We'll talk more about him in just a minute. In terms of the breakdown, pretty straightforward there, just kind of forced into the hot gates. GOJI was able to get some good kills on some certain units, but for the most part just kind of got pulled apart by zombies there. So yeah, 62 kills on the Gallows Giant, 66 for the Black Spot, 47 for Harkon himself, 36 for Gunny. Not bad at all. So the one thing about Harkon that I think, like, his price I think is fine. The fact that he has so many abilities isn't inherently itself in a bad thing. It's just that he is such a powerful character in every other way as well, both in melee and ranged. So let's go ahead and have a look here. So keeping in mind that Harkon, while he's not a caster, And on foot, he's not really, I mean, he has really good melee attack, doesn't have the best weapon strength, but not really meant as a duelist. Certainly on the Terrorgeist, he's a very powerful melee character. And look at this missile damage, 445 missile damage. We're going to compare this to some other units in just a minute here. But yeah, all the abilities, he is very expensive when you fully kit him out. 3,000 points for a non-caster lord especially is a lot to be paying, considering you have to take a caster separately and everything. But of course, we've already gone through everything that makes him very hard to kill from the outset, right? So the fact that he's such a powerful melee character and then has the most powerful missile attack of any other character in the game. And I know it sounds crazy when I say it, but let me prove my point here. So, staying with the Vampire Coast, the Fleet Admiral with pistol comes pretty close, 417 missile damage. Of course, you don't have the miscast effect, the disrupted effect, and yeah, just slightly lower missile damage, less utility overall, but okay, so pretty close on the pistol there. Let's have a look at some other prominent ranged characters. So hang on, let me pull back Vampire Coast here so we can just remember 445 missile damage for Harkon. So for the High Elves, of course, the Lithanar, very famous missile lord, very poor melee stats in comparison, has no armor, no ability to take a big terror-causing, armor-piercing mount, only 356 missile damage. So, you know, looking at almost a full 100 less missile damage over 10 seconds. If you want a really hilarious comparison, take a look at the Handmaiden. I mean, the Handmaiden has straight up almost, like literally almost half the missile damage. Luthor Harkon does close to, like, literally 1 point off of double damage from the Handmaiden's missile attack, just to give you some perspective here. Okay, so clearly the gun is more powerful than the bow, at least the High Elves' bows. Dark Elves, they really don't have many missile characters. They've got this crossbow dude, but he doesn't do a whole lot of missile damage either, so that's not really worthwhile. In terms of other missile heroes, I mean, Ikit, I guess, technically has a missile attack, but it's not really comparable. Tomb Kings. I guess Katep can take an artillery piece, but that's not really the same thing at all. Empire doesn't have any missile heroes. The Dwarfs... oh, Engineer. Just no. I mean, 334, nope. Vampires, no. Norska, no. Bretonnian, no. Wood Elves? Maybe. Maybe. Okay, just kidding. Glade Lord only does, less than 400. Orion, also a very, very strong, sort of hybrid terror-causing character. Granted, he doesn't fly around and have a breath attack, but he's quite a bit cheaper. Only 400 missile damage. So, to find a character that's even remotely close to Luthor Harkon, we have to look at Orion. And, I mean, part of that is the fact that I think that probably they should buff the missile damage of, like, especially the Handmaiden, and probably a Lithanar and some of the other missile characters as well, yes. But I also think that you could take Luthor's missile damage down to 400 over 10 seconds, just like Orion, and he would be just fine. I honestly think that would be the best way to go about nerfing him. I think his cost is fine, his abilities are all fine. Maybe you reduce his magic resistance from 33% down to like 30 to 25%. Even just a little bit of a nerf there would be helpful in helping make him slightly easier to kill. But I do think that this missile damage is too high. He has a super fast reload speed, just does a ton of damage. So I think if you were to maybe either nerf his reload speed or just nerf his damage straight up so that he doesn't have as much DPS, shooting, then that would make him a lot more balanced of a character. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, though. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.